What's up, y'all? I'm gonna speak real quick about change and how that can affect your okay, okay, your relationships. Some people may feel like first, let's start with you. If you feel like there is a necessary change that needs to be made, you need to make that change. There is no better moment than the present moment to do that. Because with you putting it off, it's just going to cause a precedent of procrastination. And if you don't have very supportive people, or if you have very negative people around you, whether that be in at your workplace, at home with your family, whether it be when you go and spend time with a friend, whether it be a relationship that you're in, when you have negative people around you that's reflecting the negativity to you, then you pick that up by default, because what happens is you're not secure enough in your mental state to combat those type of vibrations. And vibration and energy is very, very powerful. It's very powerful because it takes a hold on so many people, collectively or individually. It will take on a great toll, a tremendous toll on one's point of view, or perception of themselves, of the world around them, of people in general. So you have to be careful, and you have to secure a lot of people say they secure in a bag. You have to secure your mentality. You have to secure your way of thinking. You have to secure your thought process. You have to secure your mentality, because that's how you get the bag. That's how you're able to get the vibrational currency, the money. If you are well disciplined in your mind frame, everything else will fall into place. Because when you're disciplined in your mind frame and you connect the mind from the body, you remove all feelings, but the ultimate feeling that there is, which is love. Because you see everything for what it is, which is energy. Okay, so the illusion that we bought into, the illusion that we see every day that's manifested, that is someone else's creativity. That is someone else creating their reality, and you are living in that of their reality. Okay, so that's not very wise either if you want to live in the thought processes of someone else before you. Create what you want to see. Be who you want to be. Dare to dream. Care to create. Be different. You don't have to fit in with the masses, because the collective consciousness is a very free flowing power that will not only make its way to you, but it will stay there. It will stay there if you're not protected enough in your own mind frame. Collective consciousness is when you have a group of people who are focused upon one thing, or they hold a belief about something. So like the media that they show us with 9/11, or a good example would be the police now with all of the things that's going on with the killing. So we're so focused on those things, they're keeping us in fear, which ultimately keep those people in control. Because when you don't have control over your mentality, and you're offering such sloppy vibrations, which are feelings, or beliefs, because a belief creates the feeling towards the belief. Okay, so you think these things and you have feelings about your thoughts. So you send out these vibrations because the universe speaks the language of vibration. You send out these wavelengths, and what you're doing is, not only is it staying stuck with you and it's becoming a part of what you believe and how you act, but now you're projecting that onto somebody else, whether you know it or not. Because collective consciousness is always conscious, and it's always moving, it's always free flowing. So if you have ill feelings about something, or if you find yourself upset for reasons that you really don't know for certain parts of the day, that comes from the collective consciousness of people before you that maybe died, or people that you communicate with now. Now, the message that I'm sending, it can be very esoteric, as I said in my first video, and it can be very far-fetched with your what you're thinking with your average mind, your conditioned mind, your programmed mind, because they didn't want us to find out these things. Because you are very powerful. Your mind is very powerful. Your mind is an instrument that can create worlds. There's energy out here that's flowing to and through you that create worlds. Okay, so collective consciousness is always conscious, like I said. So if you have you know, a situation to where, well, for example, how, you know, haunted houses, that's an example that I use a lot. The walls, these walls are conscious. Everything is conscious. Everything is energy. So if you have someone who is tortured or tormented in a certain environment, in a certain home, in a certain room in that house, or all throughout the house, then the vibrations that they were given off were picked up by, they're still within the confines of those walls. So you will hear voices. Yeah, you will. You absolutely will, because the consciousness of that person it was operating in lower vibrations. So sadness, pain, anger, and that's another thing. That's why our souls reincarnate selves, because if you haven't learned the lesson here on earth, then your soul will reincarnate itself. So the person that was doing the killing in this quote unquote haunted house, they were operating with lower vibrations such as anger, pain. You know, a lot of people act out what had been given to them as a child, or, you know, just along the way. So they want other people to feel that way, which I never understood, because if you felt a certain degree of pain, you wouldn't want to wish that on your worst enemy. I mean, I know I wouldn't. But since it's not that way, since the consciousness of this planet balances itself out, then you got to take the good with the bad. I'm not condoning murderers or anything, but I'm explaining how their consciousness lingers, okay, whether they're here or not. The person who was in the room being tormented had a lot of sadness going on. So like I said, it was projected into the walls. And so when you get there, you have people believing that it's haunted, because yeah, they are hearing voices, because that collective consciousness still, it still resonates there. Okay. So it's kind of, you really have to have an open mind to learn these things. You cannot just turn on my videos and listen to them with your programmed mind, because then I'll become the crazy one and your way of thinking will be more rational, which is furthest from the truth. But and I just laugh sometimes, because they were smart, but they were not clever, because I don't really know why they didn't feel like people would actually start looking within themselves. But now more and more people are having this spiritual awakening, and more people are realizing the true essence of who they are. So the collective consciousness is very powerful, because the person does not have to be present for their ideas to manifest into your experience. But if you're disciplined enough in your mind frame, then you are able to combat those thoughts. You understand that every thought is not your own. Okay, it's almost like 50-50 when you first start balancing everything out, you know. This consciousness is something that cannot be created or destroyed, because it comes from you. You are a pure source of energy. Okay, you are pure consciousness. So it cannot be created or destroyed. So therefore it's eternal. It's everywhere at all times. So you just have to make up your mind to secure your mind frame, so that those thoughts cannot penetrate and then harm you and play out into your human experience. Okay, because you want to create your best life yet. You want to create your best life yet. You do not want to be a victim. You do not want to take on that type of mentality. Okay, these vibrations are very, very important to latch on to and understand, because you understand the way that your reality is manifesting, and you understand how you're doing these things. Okay, so it's just a group of people who are conscious, and that makes up the collective consciousness. Okay, and it travels from South Arabia to Hawaii to Dubai to Cancun to United States. I mean, it travels, and it will catch up to you if you're not strong enough. And that's why a lot of people talk about demons and things of that nature, because you have these deities. And that's going to be for another video too, because it will take me some time to really dig deep within, you know, demons and, you know, devils, and you know, so but it all boils down to vibrations. Okay, and these lower entities, these lower vibrations, they feed off of your fear. They feed off of your anxiety. They feed off of you not being wise enough to find the beauty in everything. You not being wise enough to create like the God you are. You know, God blessed us to live this life abundantly, and your mind is very powerful. So if you take control over that, then you'll step out of the 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 vibration of fear. Okay, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. So there's nothing to fear. This is all programming. It's all programming. And the collective consciousness, you don't want to, if I have a thought about something and it's a really good thought, then I send out that consciousness into the atmosphere and it makes its way around, and then it allows another person to entertain that same type of thought. And these things happen without us knowing. Like I said, you have to be into your spiritual side. You have to be embarking on a spiritual awakening to take to anything that I'm saying, because you can only receive what a person is saying from your level of consciousness. So if you're not at a point in your life of desiring more, then you're gonna create the mind to be very narrow. You're going to be very, very narrow minded. You're not going to be open minded to a lot of things. So you might just click the video off, because, and that's expected, because a lot of people are not ready to hear the truth. A lot of people can't comprehend, but a lot of people can. And a lot of people are willing to do that. So my videos are just to uplift you, to make you think deeper, to make you look at a life from a different perception, because like I said before, it's not all bad. It's what you make it. The choices that we make, the bad choices that we make, and we regret later, and you just, what was I thinking? Why did I do that? Like, what was I thinking? It wasn't it. A lot of the times you have to take into consideration that it may not have been your thoughts. You took those thoughts on as your own. Okay, because you didn't see anybody, nobody verbally said anything to you. So you took them on as your own, not realizing that the subconscious mind, the collective consciousness is like a spirit. It's energy. It flows. It flows everywhere, and nothing is off limits to it. Not even you, especially not you, because those things need a place to live. And if you give it, if you're welcoming it with open arms, and you allow it a place to reside, then it will reside there until it gets the eviction notice of it having to go ahead and manifest into someone else's. But it's moving around, even though it's stuck with you. That energy that's in the confines of the collective consciousness is still flowing to and through other people. So just protect your space. Protect your space, because sometimes you could be in a room and you could be in a really, really good mood, and then you have somebody come in and they just all nasty and their vibrations is all over the place, and now you feel like you got to match their energy. You have to match them and meet them where they are. You feel that way because they've projected their consciousness onto you. They brought that energy in the room, that negative energy. They brought that energy inside of the room. And so now it has attached itself to you, because even though you were in a good mood, overall, you're operating in lower levels of vibration because you haven't meditated. You haven't took the time to research who you are. You haven't took the time to protect your mentality. You haven't took the time to take care of your subconscious mind. So now you're more of a victim. Okay, and you're more prone to take on these vibrations. You're more prone to allow someone to create your reality for you by stealing your energy and taking your focus away and putting it upon them and how they came in the room or whatever made them mad, So it's definitely something that is interesting to know. It's very interesting, and once you know it, you'll never allow anybody to disrupt your space or steal your energy from you ever again. And it takes practice. It takes practice. I still practice. I had a situation the other day that, for lack of a better word, pissed me off. It pissed me off that a person, but then within maybe 60 seconds or so into the thought, it dissipated. I allowed it to just, I didn't give it a place to stay. I didn't give it a place to stay because I knew and I understood what would happen, what would be the outcome. Because when that thought comes and you allow that thought to stay there, then another one comes, it follows right behind it. So now you have these chain of negative thoughts that are taking place in your mind, and you can't quiet your mind, and you just so like, oh, I just need a break. You going what they call crazy. But what it is you're just the vibration, the negative vibration is so powerful, it's so strong that it then creates a chemical imbalance in your physical body. okay, which will be anxiety. You'll act out and you'll start breathing, hyperventilating, and sometimes even with cancers, different illnesses. Some people say that illness is a choice, because if you are operating at these lower levels of vibration and you don't care to raise your awareness and or your vibration, then you're more prone to diseases, because you make your immune system gets a little bit weaker. You're not able to fight off as much. The human body can only handle so much. So when I say illness is a choice, a good example of that would be cancer. Something like cancer. So if you are holding on to guilt, frustration, anger, if you're holding on to any of those ill feelings, then it can become so overbearing that it causes, like I said, a chemical imbalance, and your body will start acting out in such a vicious way. And the only way the doctors can come up with these terms is if you have a collective group of people, and that's another thing. You have a collective group of people that believe that cancer is something that is hard to cure. Okay? It's hard to cure cancer. Okay? And that's a big deal. You can die from cancer. And you have the collective consciousness believing that. So now that becomes a reality. Okay, that becomes a reality. It must be, because most people now, creating your own reality with just your individual self works. So just imagine having a collective group of people that believe the same thing, like cancer. I'm so grateful, and I love it when doctors are, because sometimes you can go in with cancer, and through your mind, I've seen people, I've witnessed people beat cancer through their mind, and they were in the latest stage, and they were in a coma. And they're able to, I can't think of the lady name right now, but I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna mention her in another video. But she cured herself mentally with from cancer. She cured herself, and she had sores everywhere. She was in a coma. She explained how bad it was. She had lost so much weight. So it was real bad. And so what happens is, when the collective consciousness feel as though something is because of how a person thought previously, then it must be. It must be, because our thoughts create our reality. So when you have a large group of people like that, then, you just believe it too. But cancer is a choice. Illness is a choice. If you hold on to guilt, it finds a way to viciously act out in your human experience. Okay? And so doctors, they come up with these names. They even had to rename, I think it was ADHD and schizophrenia, something like that. I'm gonna come with facts before I get the line. I don't want to start, but they have to reword these things, because schizophrenia, I think it was. Yeah, it was schizophrenia. And I think they changed it to something else, because more people were channeling their ancestors, the collective the consciousness of their ancestors, to get answers. And a lot of people are placed in crazy homes, because the average person can't fathom, they can't understand, what do you mean you hear voices? What do you mean? So you're crazy. Now you're crazy and you're going to go to the cuckoo house. We're going to lock you in that room. And no. It's just when people can't understand it, they judge you. If they can't understand it, they will judge you, and they will make it seem like you're crazy. Something is wrong with you. So when doctors are faced with the reality of people beating cancer, and there's not a trace of cancer in their system, that's a joy, because doctors only classify a certain physical aspect. They only diagnose your physical aspect based on what is written before, what they were taught, what showed before. Okay, so it's not. I'm sorry, my big old arms. It's not. It's not something that you have to worry about if you. And this is how powerful your mind is. It's not something to worry about if you're taking care of your mental state. You have to take care of you. You have to take care of you. That's the bottom line. Okay? I don't know if I missed the point. If I missed any point inside this video, just comment below and I'll touch bases on it. If I make any mistakes, or if I leave out any information that you feel like I was supposed to touch bases on in the video, like if I started talking about something but then I shifted to somewhere else, just bring that to my awareness and I'll be able to make commentary on it in a later video. I'll read all of the comments. So just let that be your new project. Just working on you. Okay? Feel your way into it. Feel your way into it. You don't need validation from the outside. You don't need people to validate who you are. When you know who you are, it's on. It's on, and can't nobody keep you from it. You like here with yourself. That's your best friend. You know, you are your best friend. So you don't need the outside validation. I love y'all so much. Like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, feel free. I'm here. I'm an open book. And that's all for now.